I would like to open the City of Benton Harbor Commission meeting in the Little League Commission chambers. They can begin with a invocation by Commissioner Henderson, followed by the pledge of allegiance and City Manager Mitchell.
Lord, thank you for this, our city of Benton Harbor, that we get an opportunity to serve. Thank you for each and every person that's here, and I ask that you help to guide our decision-making in terms of our residents, what's best for the city. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yield to the city clerk.
Commissioner Adams,
Present.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner Edwards,
Present.
Commissioner Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Henry,
Present.
Commissioner Isom,
Present.
Commissioner Singleton,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Mayor Mohammed,
Present.
the informed.
This brings us to the approval of minutes, regular minutes, December 5, 2022, proposed minutes, December 5, 2022. Is there a motion for the approval? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, is supported by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
motion carried.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing?
Motion approved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. It is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes
I will,
Commissioner Adams.
because I understand the payments, but I guess this is something that the finance director cannot answer. But it was on the last accounts payable, and it might have been last month, for dirt cheap. And this one here on this accounts payable is $1,200. My question is, if we are paying our public works for a dumpster of $450, why are we paying dirt cheap to pick up and dump stuff as well? Or are they dumping it? I mean, I'm just thinking we should be doing things to save every penny that we can, because we've been told that funding is low. And my next question would be, there was 2,106.23 to Clean Earth, environmental for sewer cleaning. Don't we have our own machine? And if so, why would we be utilizing them? Or no?
Mr. Manager.
Yes, and commissioners, excuse me. Dirt cheap. Had to do some work. They're picking up. Dumping to see what it is, what people have done. And Clean Earth was doing some sewer work that we didn't have the capacity to do.
Simple enough. Thank you. But we do have our machine still. Okay.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank our finance director for responding for my inquiries, and to also send it to every of us, one of us as well. But in my process of following the money, I need some real answers to some of these questions. The number of the trucks, because I'm watching everything that's being paid out. So I would like to know what department and what vehicle is these parts and maintenance are being bought and purchased for. So just so I could just kind of watch the money. And I thank you, Mr. Williams, for giving us this. I finally got, inquiries about our attorney and our engineer, and I will be watching that and encouraging every one of us to watch it as well. So that's all I gotta say about that, is through the chair, through the city manager, to, allow us to have that information as to what truck and what department is purchasing these, parts for cars. Cause I believe we are under Enterprise, and they do a lot of the work. I know they don't replace the tires, but I just like to follow the money. Thank you.
Chair recognizes First Ward Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, thank you. I just have a question about the Enterprise F&M Trust, just following up with what Commissioner Henry just talked about. Well, we had a contract with them for police vehicles to trade different vehicles and things out. And I just see a charge for $32,000. Just wanted to know what that entails.
Yeah,
Chair recognizes the Finance Director.
that $30,000 is for, and the public safety director would have been able to elaborate more on it since they are more involved in getting those vehicles. But that's what it entails. It entails most of the public safety vehicles, and it's a fleet. And so that was a concern of mine. So, yeah, thanks for that question. So that is something that I want to start looking at in the new year, but that's what that money comes from.
So is that the detail that you do know, so that's when they change out vehicles every so often
Yes, they're leases.
for a specific, or for it's for the
Both,
fleet, so
yeah,
multiple vehicles?
Yes, fleet.
And this is,
No.
Well, I'm sure. However, I will say that in speaking with other mayors and other cities, they're looking to strike agreements where it alleviates and lessens maintenance and keeping vehicles current, as we have prior to, and this is just some history, our police cars, vehicles were in bad shape.
Yes.
Bald tires, old 2005, 2006, I came on in 2010, so we do have our capable Director of Public Safety coming in on a question regarding the lease,
Enterprise.
enterprise lease maintenance charge of $32,445.19. Be prepared to speak to that. Okay,
Yes, I definitely follow up because I
You
had
follow.
started looking into that already, so.
okay.
And it was interesting that Commissioner Henderson brought that up. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, and I want to thank the gentle lady of the Third Ward for touching base on that, because if in fact, any of those vehicles were under the enterprise agreement, maintenance agreement, then they're supposed to be taking care of that, not our general fund. And I think I do remember seeing this price once before, and I guess we need to know how many times a year the payments are with Enterprise under the agreement that we have with them for the vehicles and updating them. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, would you like to speak to that? Finance Director. Okay, thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clay Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to our monthly and final update of 2022 from our Berrien County Commissioner, the Honorable Commissioner Mamie Yarborough.
The birthday.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Mohammed, commissioners, staff, and our community. I thank you so much for this time, and I think this is the fastest year I have ever been in. And I want to tell you update you on some of the things that we've been doing in the county commission. I want to tell you, we had a report from our treasurer, who is Shelley White, and it's regarding our tax foreclosure sale. There were 113 properties went to auction. 64 were sold in the first round, 17 were sold in the second round. The city of Benton Harbor purchased 32 properties. 2 were purchased by the land bank. And Treasurer Shelley White said that the gross sale in 2022 was $701,530. And you may wonder, why am I telling you these numbers? I'm telling you because the taxes that are collected goes back to the communities in Berrien County. And a best example is when you have property and you look on the bottom of your tax bill, it tells you everything that these dollars go to the millages, for schools, for senior centers, for the library, whatever it is, and other assessments. So out of this $701,530 all over Berrien County to be based on the millage, those 0.2s and all of those things. We have a number of county millages like the drug court, just a lot of things. So I wanted to bring you up to date on that. And then there is, I want to let you know about this. I have seen this flyer and here on the wall in the city of Benton Harbor. I've seen it in other municipalities. I've seen it, you all see this? I've seen it at the county, and I didn't quite know what it was. I thought, but what I want to let you know, and our treasurer wants you to know, is that this is called Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund. And it's for homeowners with financial hardships. And the reason we're talking about it is because it works. She says that there were 30 claims made, and I guess the process has turned into Berrien County Treasurer, and 20 of them have received the money that they requested. So she knows that this works. It's through MSHDA, and what you do is read these things, and I'm going to leave some what I have with the clerk, and you all can make people more aware. But it's for homeowners, and I thought it was about your taxes, but it's also for mortgages, housing expenses, escrow shortages, land contracts, mobile home, consumer loans, park lot fees where your mobile home is, property taxes, condominium homeowners association fees, homeowners property insurances, hazard, flood, or mortgage insurance, utilities, gas, electric, water, sewer, internet, broadband services. So it's not just taxes. But what happened and how the treasurer knows this works is the people that applied and received the dollars came to the county and paid their taxes. They used it to get caught up with. So please, I think it's important. There's still money there. It's still, it has not expired. It doesn't say when it expires. And so I'm asking you all to pay attention to this and let other people know that own property, and you look at it's more than just one thing, but utilities and all. And if nothing else, we said what we go to the grocery or, what everything costs has made a heavy toll. It's not just that you're no longer working or whatever. And when you listen to what it covers, it's everything that you need. So I'm going to leave them on the table wherever you choose for me to, so that people can, I'll leave it with the clerk, so that people can have them. I want to say to you, I was here one week and I heard there was a grant request that staff was asking the commissioners to make a vote and to accept it and all. And it was a lot of questions. They wanted to wait and wanted to hold up on things. I remember being on boards that we had grant requests that were due, that they drove or flew somewhere to take that piece of paper to that, whatever it was, Lansing or New York or wherever. I think it's when they clamp those bags on your arm, but so that it would be there in time. And my point is knowing how many years and how important the grants are that you apply for them. If you don't get it, fine. You have not lost anything. But if you don't apply, you could have lost $1 million. And it's for the staff to know that it's the right thing. You don't have to know that it's the right thing, but they brought it to you. It's done. It has a date that has to be done. And I'm begging you, when that happens, sign it. Make your motion, pass it. Because even in the county, the majority of our departments are run on grants. The health department for sure, because you can't know in January what's coming in June, July, August, whenever it comes up from federal to state to communities. And what they'll tell you, sometimes they'll say to you, your points were not high enough. Reapply. Do reapply, because you can get it. We fit all the guidelines, and there's a formula that, that they use to request these things. So from my experience, and if you think about it, from what's going on, there's a lot of money there, and we need it, and we deserve it. Yes. And this is what I've seen in the city of Benton Harbor. I've lived here all my life. You all have the potential to, more money's coming in here than you have ever received. And so I'm asking you, do what it says, whatever the recipe says, so that we can get Benton Harbor straightened out and fix up our houses. The city has 32 houses, I don't know. Fix them up. I watch HGTV all day and all night. And look at what you can do. And we're going to have the money to do it. And so I'm asking you all to work with and to work together. I have been to so many things and seen so many people coming together. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And there are young people here that want to do things in their community. They want to come back home, because most of our children, we're always taking them, sending them somewhere else. They want to get away from here. Now they want to come back. Help them to be here. Give them advice and encourage them. That's what I'm just asking us to do. And I want to say, I'm in the taxes and the millages and all those kinds of things. One of the most wonderful things that happens with that millage is the senior centers. And we have 7 senior citizen centers, and they're in fine buildings. And they keep them up, the things that need to happen. And the way they're able to do that, we take that millage money that comes to the senior centers, and we divide it by 7. It's not based on how many people do you serve, how many come, what are you doing, or what's your program. The senior centers, I'm going to tell you what they do. They do what their patrons want them to do. Some do exercise, some plant gardens, some do whatever, and some watch TV. So, that's a schedule. But what you can do as a resident of Berrien County, or maybe it's not even just that, is look at their Facebook. They put out a monthly newsletter. There's some things on there you might want to do. Take tap dancing or Tai Chi or travel. I have been to New York. I've been to Chicago. I've been to the theater. I've been to Navy Pier and got on boats. And all they tell us is know your bus number so that you won't end up somewhere else. And it's reasonable. The prices are. So I'm saying to you all, and if it's not your age, then you have family or you have friends or parents, use the senior center. We give them each $370,998 a year. Then their friends put them in their will, put them in their bequests or whatever. So the place is running, but that's where the meals are, the distribution of commodities at every one of them. That's not based on, are you poor, it's based on your age and that you're eligible. And so there are so many things in our community that we can take advantage of. Learn Tai Chi or, whatever is going on. It's here. We don't have to go far and no farther than getting on the bus. And the places that do the trips, they keep a waiting list. They're going to Hawaii. They're going to, and you start paying in January. By June, it's paid for. And you go. So please take advantage of the things, and the amount of tax money that's going into it is sufficient, but there are many more. They have much more than that. The loan closets, for wheelchairs and it's just so much here that we need to be letting our residents know about and taking advantage of. And so what I want to say to you all is I thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to share with you my favorite verses, and it's Philippians 4, 8, and 9. And it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are of good report, whatsoever things are pure, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen me do, do. And the God of peace shall be with you. Thank you.
Commissioner Yarborough, it's not to Commissioner Adams, said she wanted to break protocol and ask.
I really thank you, Mamie. I really appreciate you. I meant to make the meeting, the land bank meeting, and I missed it due to a doctor's appointment. Is the county got anything in the form of a warming station? Anything for homeless?
Things happen there now, that is to the sheriff's department.
Okay, thank you.
They make places.
So we have a blizzard coming, and we have some homeless people.
That's through is it through the sheriff's department that they make warning?
Emergency services, it is.
Yes, emergency
Thank you.
services.
Okay, thank
And the
you,
health department, they all,
thank you.
really, if something went out and all that, they all come together. We got, what are those things, I don't say diesel, the generator. We got generators everywhere, all
Okay,
over Marion.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Prior to the citizens' comments, we have our water expert, Mr. John Young here, who's going to provide us with some pertinent information that will be helpful with our agenda item. There's no objection to his presentation. Then Mr. Young. you ready?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. You may hopefully remember that I was here about a month ago going over the alternatives analysis report that really is going to dictate the future of your water supply and your operation of your water system and who's going to own it, things such as that. That's kind of the decision resolution in your book with respect to a proposed solution. That's really going to dictate our next step, which is part of the state order, where we need to take your recommended solution of what you want your water supply to look like, and then kind of do a deep dive and put together all the details around that, the technical details, the management details, financial details. And that report will be due in March. But the decision you make tonight will tell us which direction to go with that report. I thought it would be really good to provide some really positive news about your water system. We heard a lot of negative things. I work very closely with both Eagle at the state and with the EPA. And the state had done a survey of the water plant and the water system and had identified a bunch of what they call significant deficiencies of the system. And so far you've taken care of more than half of those. And there are some remaining where we have to do some work that impacts the reliability of your supply. But for the past year, the turbidity of your water leaving your treatment plant with these improvements has met, excuse me, all the water quality standards. The turbidity is the clarity of the water. And you're doing a really good job there producing clear water. That's good news. For the past year, the water has been properly disinfected, which takes care of the bacteriological growth and met all the requirements there. For the past year, you've been properly treating the water for corrosion, which obviously is extremely important regarding lead and copper. So the pH of the water, which is the acidity of the water, and the chemicals you're adding to help with the corrosion has been right on. And then because of the way you're properly treating the water for the last 18 months, you've met the lead and copper rule requirements here. So the water, I mean, I know, we've gotten beaten up with respect to the water quality. You guys have really turned things around with respect to the water quality, and you ought to be really, really proud of that. And I know the public still thinks the water is not any good. Well, the water is good. And all the test results in the state will tell you that it is good. So I think that's good news. The second part of good news, and it's really important for the decision tonight, is that the report we put together to review all the alternatives, which was a requirement of the EPA order, today they basically said that report meets all the regulatory requirements and you're in compliant with the order. So your decision tonight is based on a report that will not change and we'll move forward with. So that's important as well. So a lot of things are moving in the right direction. Yeah.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm sorry I'm late. I hope I got it straight. Did you just say that we're in compliance and we're meeting all? Have you met with the Water Council?
I have not. No, I've not. No.
Oh, well, no, because people are saying that we're not in compliance but you're saying that we are, and
Yeah.
you're expert.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 45 years.
And you said we're in compliance?
Yes, you're in compliance with the turbidity
Say it right now.
turbidity standards leaving the treatment plant. You're in compliance with the disinfection leaving the treatment plant. You're in compliance with how you treat the water for corrosion. And for the last 18 months, you've met the lead and copper rule requirements of the system. So,
I just, you don't have to go any further.
yeah,
I just want to put that on record to say thank you. Because you have people who are not experts at water, but yet they're experts at whatever they say that's going on.
well, and you're not unique here. I spent the last 5.5 years in Flint working with them on the recovery efforts. They actually went into compliance back in 2016. But you still hear people today talking about the water quality in Flint.
But it probably make more money than anybody else. But go ahead.
Okay. So that's the good news. Water quality is good, and we've met that important requirement of the EPA order that this report is now, accepted. So tonight you're here to make the big decision. We presented 7 alternatives at the last meeting. We put the report out for public comments. We got a few public comments. A lot of people supported alternative 1, which was the continued ownership of the system by the city and the continued use of the surface water treatment plant. We looked at a lot of other alternatives with respect to purchasing water and regionalization and consolidation and privatization and using groundwater and all those things. But, probably the most cost-effective and practical solution is that alternative 1. So that's what's in the resolution tonight. I'm kind of here to answer any questions you may have of that. And probably I want to spend a little bit of time getting into the nuances of alternative 1. So you really understand what you're proving tonight. That's why I'm here.
Chair recognizes
Yeah.
our chairman of Park and Rec Public Safety.
Thank you, sir. Do that take into account also for the 99-point-some% lead lines being replaced? That's done now.
We have a few left to get done,
Right.
and what we're telling you is that we need to get those done. But the water quality in the system has been treated, so it really is minimizing any lead leaching out of those lines, even if you still have a lead line. So, and where obviously you don't have a lead line, you don't have any concern with respect to, the contamination, and you might inside your house. I'll get into the details here, but some houses, you have a little bit of lead in the brass faucets and things like that. So it's important that even if you don't have a lead line, you properly treat the water so you minimize any sort of corrosion within the home. And, for the last year, the water's been properly treated to minimize any sort of corrosion within the home, both lead and copper corrosion, even if you have your lead service line out.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, thank you, coming. Just a question.
Yeah.
Sort of a recommendation.
Mhm.
So we're talking about in-house corrosion. So would it be a good recommendation if people could to replace all those little adaptations to their faucets bathroom fixtures? That'd be, I mean, if they're that tedious about it.
Well, it really depends what type they are. I mean,
I mean, it's just the regular, like you can go buy at Walmart.
right. I mean, if the water is treated properly, they really don't have any exposure to that. If you wanted to go in and change, every little joint in your house where you might have lead solder, you certainly can do that. But you've proven as a community that you can treat the water properly, and that little bit of lead exposure, if the water is not corrosive, it won't really attack that. So the big concern was the lead service lines, and you've got 99 point whatever of those done amazingly quickly. I've done this in a number of communities, and you guys ought to be committed to how quickly you've got those out. It may not be cost effective to get there and redo your entire plumbing system, your house, if you're treating the water properly, which you are doing now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Trust me. That question will come.
Oh.
I still got lead right there on my little thing.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
Thank you. And I want to thank you, John, for your explanation, all of the questions that's been asked. To my satisfaction, I want to thank you so I can better engage my constituents with what they need to know.
Right.
It's factual. And factual things are the only thing that I can speak on since I've been on all these calls from the very beginning, even before the Terrific Water Council set the alarm that brought all of this into play.
Mhm.
That enabled us to be able, that made it possible, setting that alarm for these lead lines to be brought to justice, to be fixed. Had I not been on those calls prior to and during and after and still am, I would not know what I know to be factual. We knew for a while, prior to those lead lines or the emergency even taking place, that the water was good coming out of the water plant. But when the alarm was set and they went in there, they found some things that Abbenmarsh neglected, as well as the overseers of the water plant, which took us into the first agreement. Am I right? I already know I am, because I've been paying attention. I don't forget very much. But I want to thank you for the work that you've done in overseeing and guiding us on the path in which we need to take now.
Mhm.
I would say, though, that somewhere within the chemicals that was put in the water to control the corrosion that entered the homes made the problem worse. And you guys were able to fix that, and I want to thank you. However, I have not heard the Water Council announcing anything to the effect of what the Health Department, DHHS has been stating, as well as Eagle, that we need to continue to use our, to have our filters replaced. And they have a program that our wonderful county commissioner mentioned about home repairs and stuff that will come in and replace all of those old things to ensure that we are getting the clean water that we deserve, being that it's a human right. And I want to thank you.
So let me clean up a little bit of the confusion. So you'll see that DHHS is still saying, to use the filters and et cetera. And I've just said all the water quality is good.
Yeah, it has
They've taken the approach that until every lead service line,
Exactly.
they've taken a very, very conservative approach. Say till every lead service line is gone, we're recommending that you use the filters and whatever. And that's fine. That's an approach you certainly can take, but it almost sends the message that the water isn't good. But you go right to Eagle.
That's the advertisement that they have on the radio
Right.
and TV and,
Right.
and
But-
flyers.
Can we keep it?
Yeah.
But the water is good.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, John, could you want to finish your thoughts?
Yeah, so all I want to say is, so the public comments came back and said, alternative one is what the public really prefers here. They did mention there clearly are affordability issues in Benton Harbor that we need to consider. There are a number of issues. We still need to do a bunch of capital projects to improve the system. With respect to our staffing, we still need to find good staff. We still need to train good staff. We need to retain staff, to get things right. But given all that, alternative one is the best. Now, in alternative one, there were three options, as you might remember. One was the city would have the entire staff. So the staff of the treatment plant, the staff of the distribution system, everything, they all be city employees. Other alternative was you hire a contractor to come in and basically manage all the water department. And the third was what we called the hybrid system, is where you have some contract employees and some city employees, because frankly, right now, the city doesn't have all the licenses and everything they need. So in approving alternative one, and I think the resolution covers it pretty well, what you're actually approving is status quo right now is this combination of contract employees and city employees. You may want to have your goal is let's ultimately get to all city employees, but you need to understand that's going to take time. It's going to take training. It's going to take employee retention. It's going to take existing employees who may want to get the licenses to have the initiative and the ability to go get them. They may or may not have them. So it might be 2 years, it might be 3 years, it might be 5 years until you ultimately get to your goal. But in approving alternative one, you're really saying, let's start with this hybrid system and then move as quickly as we can, but judiciously as we can and properly, because you don't want to put the water at risk again, to get to all city employees. And all that will be addressed in this report 3 months from now, if you say that's what you want to do, starting with what we have and then moving to what your goal is and how do we get there and what's the impact on a number of things to get there.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats and then Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do want to thank our mayor, our city manager, this commission, who have been through the ups and downs of everything that's happened, to appreciate a council that has not even been established by the state, nor the county, nor the city, will be alive when they have no experts. You have people who are not experts who are commenting on the quality of water who don't even have a water test kit. The water that they're slinging now, in most homes you see stacked up in everybody's yard, is now worse than what's coming out the faucet. If you test it, you can find out that's true. And so I appreciate your expertise, because many people who are complaining are making more money than anybody on this crisis, and the continual crisis means I can make money. I'm just being honest with you. I mean, ain't nobody paying me to say anything. But in order for me to say that there's still contaminated water, when this commission and this city has went above and beyond. If you think you still have lead, here's a sheet right here that says call. They'll check everything. They'll reduce. They'll take out the pipes, whatever has lead in it. We've done above and beyond, but the purity of water is the question. And our water plant has met every stipulation that it has, which you have said, and which the state probably will agree with what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have some person who don't know how to boil an egg will tell you that the water is no good. We can, as a body, I want to make sure on this video or whatever, whoever's listening, that the water quality is up to par. I mean, not talking about your faucet, not talking about your bathroom, because that's what happened at the high school when they said the water was no good. There was a faucet that was in the high school that was no good, that had lead. So we're talking about the quality of water that's producing out of our system.
And plus entering into the individual homes. And it's not just me saying it.
We put.
It's your regulator, the state of Michigan, that's saying
We
that.
put multi-millions of dollars, we replaced the water tower, we've done everything possible to make this better. But people want to continue to make the water quality a chaos. And yet, when you look on the back of that water, it's coming from another municipality. That water is coming from another municipality, purified from another municipality, whether it's Plymouth, whether it's wherever. That water that they're drinking right now is coming from another municipality who's been purified. And you're saying that our water is at that quality, and we can go.
Well, what they do with that is they take the municipal water and they put it through some additional treatment beyond
Where's
what you
that,
normally
Moses?
do. But you-
Nestle's.
Right, but your water does meet, all the standards that the
But I'm
state
saying,
has
if
set.
you look at that water
Yeah,
bottle.
yeah.
It does say another municipality in Michigan.
Right.
Am I right about that?
I haven't read the label, but.
It is. So thank you. I want to just say, I appreciate you for what you're doing. I appreciate this body. All the outside entities that are experts overnight. I wouldn't want a heart surgeon to operate on me and he never operated on one patient. I wouldn't want a dentist to take out a tooth who never cleaned the tooth. Let's let people who are experts do what they're supposed to do. And people who are supposed to be whatever they do, let them do what they do. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the third ward commissioner. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Once we decide that, which one we decide on, who will control this process?
You will.
Recording it.
It was the only thing that we're required to do under the state order is have this second report due on March the 10th. And what that will do is you will tell us that you want to do alternative one, okay? We will go back and say, great. Now, what's all the detail behind getting there? In other words, what are the exact number of people that we need? How long is it going to take to transition to get to fully staffed by Benton Harbor? What impact might it have on rates? What might we have to do on collections to minimize the amount of rate increase? What might we need to do with respect to training people to get to where we need to do? That's the report that's going to be done between now and March, but we need your input into that, okay? For instance, in that report, we have to address how much investment we have to put into the system. If you guys, working with you guys, you can find some grant money over the next 3 months to help support that, we can minimize the amount that we have to pay ourselves for that and what impact it has on rates. You need to make decisions on how we might improve the collections, getting more people to pay their water bill. Whether you're going to aggressively do it or not, that impacts a lot of things. So it's going to be a partnership moving forward, but we have to have this report done to meet the state order at the beginning of March. But we need your input all along the way. We don't want you to be surprised at all when this March report comes out, because the public's going to read it and have a ton of questions, and we have to make sure we've proactively addressed all those questions that they may have in the report. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the process we need to go through.
We do have
Uh-huh.
the
Nobody
waiting
else has their
is
hand.
I understand, but it's people talking 2 or 3 times, and this was just
She said yes.
right, but this is your third time.
I have a question. We're in debate. This is a very
It's not a
important
debate,
matter.
this is a presentation.
Well, may I
The
ask the
debate will
gentleman,
come
well, I'm
once
gonna
the
hand it
third
out.
order. No, I'm just saying because
Not
after
tonight,
this,
please.
we need to move forward.
Then let's do that. I have a question.
Commissioner Adams is recognized.
Okay, John, thank you. And I have one other question. Because within the resolution, do we have the opportunity to pick one of the 3 within one?
You know, you can tell, you have the
Or
opportunity to
just
do whatever you want.
One overall? It was either 1, 2, 3.
Well, we can pick 1 through 7, and I think you're going to pick 1.
Okay.
And then there's 3 alternatives.
One stands alone, okay.
Right, and then
so-
there's 3 alternatives out of 1. You can tell me which one of those you want. I'm
okay,
recommending,
So that has to follow. whichever one.
But that's in the resolution that they've written, starting with this hybrid model and moving toward a fully staffed by Benton Harbor. That's in the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young, for your presentation and expertise, and we look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
This brings us to public participation, which is on the agenda as citizens' comments. Just for the record, you do not have to be a resident of the city of Benton Harbor. It is for the public at large as well. The city clerk will collect the sign-in sheet and call each participant in the order as it appears.
Angela Gray.
Good evening. As the young lady stated, my name is Angela Gray, and I'm here to bring about some concerns that are at Crystal Springs Cemetery. So I'm a little winded because I rushed to get in here. The cemetery has become deplorable. I remember when that cemetery was beautiful. There have been some upgrades. They are cutting the grass, and I saw them raking leaves. But the thoroughfares, potholes. And I don't know how many of you have family members buried there, but that's a disrespect to the family members. So I wanted to know, are any funds going to be set aside to repave those roads and to continue to bring the cemetery up to par as it once was?
Thank you.
All right.
Mrs. Gray, pardon me, did you leave your information with the city
Yes,
clerk?
I gave it to her.
Okay.
Thank you.
City manager's office will contact.
Oh, yes, and I have a copy of the complaint form that I gave to the city manager. I took a picture of it, it's on my phone. He has a copy of it, and nothing has been done. I filed a complaint last year in
Oh.
December.
Jesus.
I don't live here, but when I come home to go visit my father's funeral, and I'm going through like I'm in a war zone because the roads are so bad, that's a disrespect to the dead. So the city manager, he has a copy of the form that I gave him last year in December. If you don't have a copy, sir, I can give you another one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are more comments.
Thank you. This brings us to the consent calendar agenda. Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar? Or are there items that should be separated for discussion or debate? Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Okay, I'd like to separate zoning ordinance amendment to modify which sites may use the planned development option. Zoning map amendment to rezone 3 parcels from general commercial and light industrial to mixed use. Amendment to ordinance chapter 25 nuisance. Approval authorization for city manager to submit the Spark grant. Resolution to approve the monument design honoring Dr. Martin Luther King. Those 5.
Yes.
Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
Reappointment to the Housing Commission. Ralph Crenshaw.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Reappointment to downtown, well, no, what was that? Downtown Development Association. I apologize.
Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton and is supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
motion carried.
The first separated item is zoning ordinance amendment to modify which sites may use the planned development option, AKA PDO. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. Is there support?
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes fourth ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Okay, so I read it and, I'm just not satisfied with it. To me, it was negatively, it would affect the other surrounding property, in a negative way. It's no more beneficial than the conventional zoning district regulations from where I've seen. And then it seems like it's giving the developer more control with businesses that are already down there having less say.
I would like to just, for some staff input, yield to the city manager.
Let the yield to Mr. Little on this project.
Director Little is recognized.
The benefit of the ordinance for planning unit development, first thing it does is reduces the size of the acreage required to apply for. Currently, you already have a planning unit development ordinance, but it's limited to sites that are 5.8 acres and larger, and also to certain specific zoning areas. What this will do is reduce the size requirement to 1.5 acres, which is about the size of the city block. Developer has no more advantage under this than he would have under anything else. It goes before the planning commission, submits a site plan for exactly what it is that he's proposing to do. And the planning commission reviews that and determines whether or not it's to the advantage of the city and makes a recommendation. The plus is that currently, if a block is zoned single-family residential, nothing else can go in there except single-family residential. You're in a period of time right now where nationwide developers are saying in no uncertain terms, with the cost of building materials as a result of this coronavirus and the other factors going on in inflation, that it's no longer affordable to build a single family house. It's easier to build duplexes, fourplexes, 6, 8, and 10 plexes. But with this, a developer can propose a mixture of perhaps 2-story, 1-story, maybe a commercial facility within that block to help serve the people that live there and so forth. There's a lot of flexibility, which you currently do not have. To the city, that's going to benefit greatly the tax base of the city. The city stands to gain a great deal more if a block has a mixture of projects in it as opposed to limited to a single family unit on a single size lot and that kind of thing. With this, a developer comes up with what makes the most sense financially for them, and we review it to see if it makes sense for us financially, and that's how we benefit.
Mr. Little, currently what developments would the city benefit from with this ordinance change? Are there any current developments?
Absolutely. Project T, which is a 5-acre site out here, would develop. It gives them the flexibility to come in with a design to the city that would provide for the proposed 30 to 60,000 square foot commercial space, couple of buildings that could be 3 and 4 story, and single family units, 8 to 10 of them, and a lot of open space and so forth. Likewise, even though the corner of Wall Street is being rezoned to mixed use, if they were to choose so, they could also apply under this, as well as other developers coming in. Quite honestly, at this point, I have been contacted by 2 developers out of Ohio wanting to build housing units. One's looking at 50 and another one a little larger. And this is going to provide an enhanced opportunity for us to gain those kind of types of developments.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yeah, wait. No, I'll wait.
Thank you, Director Little. This is something that we've been trying to do even back in the day of Joe Harris when they started limiting what we can build on these properties. If you look at the 600 block of Broadway, on that right-hand side, you have an open field that's big enough to build whatever you want to build in that area and to put housing there. If you look at on Pipestone, there's an area there about in, I want to say in the 400 or 500 block that's able to build whatever's necessary, roundabout, whatever. But if you're hamstring or hamstrung, then you're limiting the ability to have progress where you'll start having we call it in our language, snaggertooth housing, but it's scattered housing if you want to name it or anything else. I think there's a wonderful opportunity because then you start building stuff like what's in New York. There's brownstone. You can start building duplexes or different things in areas to provide a more stable or beautiful housing opportunity for somebody who might not want to own a house, but want to utilize something that is up to par and tax base will be phenomenal. But I do commend this because that's what the heartbeat of what's getting ready to happen over at the Mercy property, which people are saying, I got all kind of rumors going on that we're moving too fast, but they ain't got nothing else to last on that property. If y'all got grocery stores, y'all want Walmart to come there, Kmart, or Save-A-Lot, whatever y'all want to put there, put it there, Dollar General. But if you don't have nothing, then when we try to put something there, then you can't fight progress. So I will support this wholeheartedly because there's no reason why we cannot put multifamily or somebody want to come put mixed use facilities there. I mean, maybe a senior don't want to move out their house, but you can give them something better that they'll feel comfortable living in a place where, and we're not talking about giving anybody anything. The key words that you said tonight through the chair, Honorable Mayor Marcus Muhammad, that you said that it will have to go through the planning commission, then come back to this commission. So there's no backdoor dealing going on. It has to go through still 2 steps, or a third step to even get to this point. And the truth is, if we don't do something to get more, you cannot build a city just off residential taxes, single family home taxes. You have to be creative, and I appreciate you and the city manager for that job.
I do want to recognize Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Singleton to follow.
Thank you. We definitely need some affordable housing. And I definitely wouldn't fight that, even though we want to see something magnificent setting up there on that big, beautiful piece of land. I'd love to call it the Mercy District. But the only mercy that it needs is that liquor store moved, to be putting our people right there in the midst of what we already see in our community. I'm hoping that what we're about to see with Project T is not the little bitty flat homes like we see Habitat has built out here in the township, because I've seen better by Habitat in other communities with garages. I could even go for something that looks like what should be still magnificent up here on the bluff. In my mind, I'm thinking that those people, had they been given honesty and truly believing that they were going to become homeowners of those and be able to purchase them after being there a certain time, in my mind, I want to believe that they would probably have cared and upkept the property more, knowing that they feel some sense of ownership. But I'm hoping that it's some homes kind of like that. Yeah, but we definitely need to build on our housing stock, because that means more flushing. Some people are gonna be using some water. We got more water customers, because we gotta figure out how to keep our water plant going. To have access to clean drinking, affordable water, where we can afford to lower the water rates. That's it.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Chair, Mr. Little, this would also help us when we talk about rebuilding our inner city neighborhoods. And I think that the way things going down across the country, that neighborhoods are sustaining themselves by having a mixed use, being able to, walk out of their house and walk down the street to a store or something, or, like a laundromat or dry cleaners or something. This would make it easier to get that type of development going.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if I
Dr.
may,
Little is recognized.
just as a reminder, our goals for economic development, as I understand them, are to increase tax base, increase jobs, increase the population. This does all of that. Keep in mind that Benton Harbor is only 4.3 square miles.
Yeah.
When I was managing Gary, that's a neighborhood. East St. Louis, Gary is over 50 square miles. East St. Louis is 37.8 square miles. We have 4.3 square miles, and we need to do the best we can to maximize our resources within that limited space. That PUD ordinance has been on the books for some years. It's only been used one time. Harbor Shores. You don't have more than 2 or 3 sites in the city that meet the 5.8 acre standard. So this benefits the city more than anybody, and will benefit the population and everything in it. There are no losses and all gains.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson, and then Commissioner Henry.
Yep, I'd just like to say thank you. I agree. In this community, housing is the next big frontier, and we have to address that in our community. There's people who are moving, or who have moved to the township because they can't find affordable housing. We have some landlord issues that we need to address with slum landlords in our community, and housing that is not up to par for our residents to live in. So this is exactly what we need. And again, we have to try something. People complain about everything that we try in the city. When was the last time there was a new project like this built in the inner city? There was not. And so this is an opportunity to even show our residents, we do care about what's happening in our community, and to create new neighborhoods and create new housing in our community. And so this is a beginning, only a beginning. And so it will continue to grow and add different projects. And we have to start someplace, and I definitely support this. Thank you for all of the work, all of the the complaints and things that you've heard from us of things that we want to see. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of the work that's gone into this project.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our third ward commissioner, Henry.
Thank you. I was, first heard this project, this, plan in, planning commission. And they talked of a PUD and my brain went completely dead. What is a PUD? So I did some research. And I find that it's been used before. And it was used by harbor shores. And the protection that the council had to do to keep them from making private roads or gated communities was to put that language, make sure that that language was there. Because that was one of the opposition, the pros and cons of having a PUD. When PUD first came out, it was called Planned Urban Redevelopment. Now it's something else, but I'm old enough to remember when that urban development came in and what it did to us. So, I'm just not sure if we're ready. I'm ready to vote on this yet. I looked at what it says, and it's a great thing that we can reduce it to a 1.5 acres. But to just change the zone to PD, and that's what the state is calling it, planned development. They left the U out. So I always think that if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And if you can do it downtown, you can do it in the neighborhood too. So when we had that conversation, it went nowhere. Oh yeah, you really could do it in the neighborhood, but it's not here now. It's a small area that they want to give this classification to. It's an area that we know that they've been holding on to develop. And it is a day project. And so I just think that when we do projects like this that benefit downtown, then we should look at how it would benefit our citizens too. Our master plan is looking to put entrepreneurship and small businesses in the neighborhood because that's the will of the people. They're the ones that's asking for it. So if we don't set something in place for that to happen, because we're too busy setting their projects in front, I'm having a problem with this right now. I'm truly having a problem because mixed use with the master plan, the 12-year-old master plan, most of Benton Harbor, most of downtown was made mixed use. And very little of Benton Harbor's neighborhood has mixed use. So we have to prepare our residents and the city for human growth. Because brick and mortar don't work too good. Human growth is what we're looking for. So you can talk about jobs all you want, because we've been talking about jobs for 4 decades, maybe 5. What's our top priority? Jobs. So if these projects don't say that you're gonna get jobs, you're gonna get preference treatment for your Benton Harbor residents, then it's a they project. Nobody benefits from it except general fund, Benton Harbor General Fund. Thank you.
I want to recognize Commissioner at Large Singh.
Be real short here. Just thought, this project is not just regulated, we talk about Mercy Lot. This is something that would be adopted by the city that would all over, but then going back to rebuilding our neighborhoods, we talk about that. I think economists say that if the dollar turn over, so many times, I believe it's 7 times, 7 number of completion, I guess. But if it turns over 7 times, then the community sees the effects of it. So by having this mixed use type of development going on in neighborhoods, I think this neighborhood would definitely benefit by that money turning over several times in the neighborhood. I'm thinking right.
And that's what it's for the neighborhoods.
Yep.
This isn't for downtown. This is so that in a block you can have houses, maybe 6 or 8 plants. You may have somebody put a small store in here or cleaners or something like that, and have these services right where they can serve the people that live there.
Right. And just looking at the fact that it's one only been used one time. Then because development begets development. One of the things that we as council have to look at is the market in the municipalities, what townships, what cities have the best business environment, 20 million, 30 million, because the fact of the matter is the residential home no longer sustain alone the city of Benton Harbor.
No.
It cannot sustain. It cannot sustain the water system. We need more customers paying in. And if our ordinance does not invite people to come in to invest, then we'll be, dying on the vine and overcharging those who have already paid in and can no longer afford it. So this is, but I respect everybody's opinion. But I said this at the Planning Commission. I would hate to see our ordinance be like the uncle showing up to the family reunion, dressed in the 70s and 80s clothing, thinking that it's still cool, and time has passed on. So we have to take Benton Harbor into the second decade of a whole new thing. In certain spaces and places, we're still operating in the 90s, 2000, but we gotta move it forward for the people. And this does that. So with that being said, I want to call.
Let me just, one more clarification, Mayor, please.
I mean, but it's 2 people, people speaking 2 and 3 times. I mean, we gotta stop it at some point.
Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner.
thank you. Did I understand that we're talking about this PD development? And it says right here what area that we're talking about changing these zones for. It don't say nothing about Project E. It only talks about the corner of Wall Street, Ox, Colfax, 8th and Oak. So
It's citywide.
that's not, this is specifically talking about an area that we're rezoning. Now, yes, the ordinance might be citywide. But this document says one area.
Director Little.
Yes, I believe you're confusing two ordinances. One that you're referring to is the change to mixed use. That applies to corner Wall Street and the vacant lot that's owned by the city that's diagonally across from it. The PUD ordinance addresses not only Project T, but any place in the city that is 1.5 acres or larger that a developer were to get interest in and petition us to do a development that's under plan unit, where they would mix things. They're two different.
Okay, that's what I'm
Two different
so,
ordinances.
okay,
Yes.
okay, now that makes sense to me. Thank you, Mayor, for clarifying that to me. So this amendment is just for developing lots close to water and, that's what it says. 100 feet from Michigan, Pawpaw River and the St. Joe River and the Ben Harbor Channel. So that's the area we're speaking of. Am I correct?
Director Little, could you give us some clarity?
Yeah.
I'm,
Can we table this and come back to it?
no, it's, we're not, no.
We're just mixing.
We're just trying to let some clarity. It's two different ordinances. The ordinance that's up for zoning ordinance amendment to modify which sites may use the planned development option. That's the item in front of us right now. There's another item below that, but the one in front of us is what we're voting on at this time.
Mayor, can I maybe assist?
Chair recognizes if we can have somebody, I don't know what's going on. Is that a church bell?
Inside.
Coming out of the office right here. Somebody called on dinner time.
So just
You're right.
try to do this really quickly. So the zoning ordinance currently says that we've got Article 6 plan development review. And the only changes that we are looking to make are we're decreasing the size of the lot from 5 to 1.5 acres. We're adding, and currently it's also allowed in any development or lot site that is adjacent to or with frontage on or within 100 feet of the lake, Pawpaw River, St. Joe, the canal, and shall be subject to the procedures of 6.4 in the zoning ordinance. All development in the central business district. And then it's adding sites located in the commercial, local, and the mixed use zoning districts may petition for a plan use development. So it's only adding really the commercial, local, and the mixed use districts citywide.
The neighborhoods.
Well, wherever the mixed use and the commercial, local. That's really only what it's adding.
Correct. And once we do our master plan and we adjust the mixed use, then that will open it up as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I talked with Director Little about, is making sure that we worked in conjunction with our master planner.
Correct.
Why this document can't state that?
So, thank you. I call for the question.
Why this document can't state that?
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
and Mayor Mohammed, I consider ready to vote on the commission. Motion carried.
The next item for discussion is zoning map amendment to rezone 3 parcels from general commercial
To approve.
and light industrial to mixed use. It is motion by Commissioner Adams. Is there support? It is supported by Second Ward Commissioner Edwards. This opens for discussion and Commissioner Clark Griffin is recognized.
It does not meet my satisfaction, and I think it'll negatively affect the surrounding area, and it's no more beneficial than the conventional zoning regulations. And this and the other ones are already, went to the planning convention. It's not going, it's already went, and it was their recommendation of what these statements that I'm reading. And this is for project, no, it's not project, it's Wall Street, Colfax, 8th Street, and Oak Street. It does not say anything about inner city.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Edwards is recognized.
Thank you, sir. This project, looked at it, love it, talked to the residents for this project. I would ask anybody in here right now, go to the store and give me an orange. All I got to say. Anywhere in the proper Ben Harbor, go right now and get me an orange. That area, we're talking about a store, and you kind of tell us that we don't deserve a store no matter else. I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Adams is recognized.
Thank you. This goes beyond wanting or needing an orange or a banana or apple, because if anybody's been paying attention, I think the little bitty stores that keep us strung out on other stuff has been paying attention enough to have an orange or an apple or a banana present. Including the gas station down here on Main, and I was shocked. Shocked because for the past 10, 12 years that I worked with Barron County Health Department, and we started this thing knowing that we were a food desert with Andrews University and everybody. I've been just all over the place, but I'm just want to see some growth. Want to see the proper growth. My thing is, I listened to the zoning meeting, and I don't see the things that were discussed. Or it's probably in this document, it probably got by me because my eyes are worse than the glasses. But I say that to say that I hope that in all we do, that we are checking with business owners in surrounding areas and any residential people that are taxpayers in any of those locations to get their satisfaction about what they want to see. Because that nightclub up there on Pipestone had no business going up next door to a saved and sanctified woman filled with the Holy Spirit. I wasn't even a commission. But I'm just saying, just out of respect for thy neighbor, that these are the things that we need to do, including with our businesses, to make sure that, oh yeah, I'm on board. We want everybody on board and everybody to get along with one another. I would like to say though, that this light industry, is this citywide that we're talking about? We were talking about specific area. And I heard some of the dimensions, and it sounds like somebody mentioned something like right there, the angle that leads into the Brownfield Authority Board property right there on water behind, right along the railroad track. Am I in the wrong place? Because I mean, I was watching it over.
Chair recognizes Director Little.
Commissioner, that is in the wrong place.
Okay.
This is, where the corner Wall Street project, just
Okay.
block over.
Okay, so we're talking about something that we have actually approved already,
Exactly.
and we just need the zoning.
That's correct.
Okay, so it will just apply to that area right there. Is this a project that is going to move? Because I thought that it was moving.
It's planned to be resubmitted April 1st.
Okay,
And it's that block
okay,
and one just down from it that is on the corner, Colfax
Okay.
Market and.
same developer that's redoing,
The second one.
It don't
there's
matter.
No developer.
It's
just
a
our
developer.
properties being
Okay.
rezoned.
and I'm not gonna hold up growth, so,
Call for the question.
thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
and Mayor Mohammed exercised his vote in the planning commission. Motion carried.
This brings us to the next separated item, amendment to ordinance chapter 25 under the heading nuisance. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson of the First
Support.
Ward, and it is supported by Commissioner Blige of Singleton. Is there a discussion? The chair recognizes Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Okay, so I wanna know who is this ordinance, is it aimed at? And cause we know all other, it don't affect the same people, it might get enforced on some people, but not other people. And exactly what does it entail? I read the resolution already, so I don't need that reread. I just need it simplified to exactly, cause it had a whole lot of stuff that's gonna affect.
So, Mayor,
The
just
chair
a question.
recognizes Legislative Chairman.
Thank you.
Is it them or who makes this?
Yeah, so
Well,
this
it came
came,
through her.
so it came through, the legislative committee, and we spent probably about an hour talking about this particular resolution. The chief brought it, this is something that we have been discussing for probably about a year. It had been on the legislative agenda to address some of the issues that we were having, when, the attorney was actually going to court to address some of the tickets and all that kind of things. We had to explain what an illustrative enumeration was, which simply is, some disturbance on the property. But if you go into court trying to explain an illustrious illumination, you would have a problem. And it's old language. And so essentially, it's updating this resolution to meet what we need. As the mayor talked about, we still in 1970 and 1980 and 1950s with some of the ordinances that we have on the books. And so this simply was an update and with this particular ordinance. Chief, do you want to share any other information about some of the things? Because what we did with the ordinance, all of the updates were put in red so that we could see what was taken out, what was added in those ordinances, so that there was not any fogginess about what was being added. These ordinances are not aimed at anyone. They're actually to really protect the city and for our employees to be able to do their jobs when it comes to making the city whole in different areas. When it comes, yeah, that's essentially what it was. So, Chief.
So essentially, mainly what we did, and Rick can speak to it, we switched two headings, 1 to 2, 2 to 1, and changed the name of one.
Real simple.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, through the chair, Chief McGinnis. That was real simple. What I read had gentrification all over it. Now, I don't know if this is a change within a document. I understand that there was a word, that there was a mix-up over at the county. How can they mix up anything with the words they throw up on people that step before the judge? I wouldn't dare understand that, but I read through this document and it's totally unacceptable to me, because if we need to be boarding up our houses if a window is broken of a property that we bought, the city of Ben Harbor need to be boarding up their properties as well. How you gonna hold somebody else to a higher standard than you holding yourself? Our pawpaw building and going to fire. Our armory is on its way. The roof is coming up. Or did somebody get up there and pull it up? It's going to be dilapidated, just like, I mean, from what I read in this document that's totally unacceptable to me is gentrification of a community of color. And they don't need to be fined any more than they already are. Just follow what's already on the book.
Chair recognizes our public safety director.
So there was I'm not sure if I have in front of me, a report that went with this that outlined everything that we were changing. I assume that went to everybody. So again, here looking at this out of the packet, excuse me, I've been doing this discussion. right, pull it up. The two sections are there, but as far as what she had just spoken to, as far as there was an addition of a section C, no building shall be boarded up for an indefinite period of time. Any building boarded up for a future repair shall not extend beyond 1 year unless approved in writing by the building official. So that is par on course for other communities. And we gotta remember, we've been having discussions for many months about the number of boarded up buildings that we have. We said specifically that in both public safety as well as legislative, we need to get a hold of that. And I think we got even something else coming up that says if you have a building that is vacant, that it still has to also be registered with the city, because when we don't, it's not gentrification, you have 255 abandoned buildings that need to be torn down, that's on our dollar. So that's why C was added. So again, two sections were changed, and we're saying that a person, and we also know we have 70% rental, and I don't know the percentage of that, Mr. Little, of those who live out of state and town that own properties here. We're starting to, as we were ordered by both the committees, start to get something in order to clamp down on absentee people that just walk away from buildings and let them fall apart. That's all that was. And again, I could send a report if the clerk did send to everybody.
Honorable Mayor, did it say absentee people then?
That's this one's, that's the next discussion for the next proposal.
Absentee property
Yeah,
owner.
but the thing about it is when you write an ordinance,
I know.
it can't be personal, or it can't, you can't write the ordinance and there's a target group that you're targeting.
Yeah, and
With the ordinance.
And I get that because my conversation during those discussions was getting with the county before they have these foreclosure sales.
Right, but
They
the thing
can help us
See,
to stop
we'll
people that
say
live out of
that
state
the
from
county is
purchasing.
running the city, or the county is governing. This is an opportunity for the city council, who is elected by the people, to serve, and serve and protect. And part of protecting is, we talk about neighborhoods.
And a
And
cemetery.
to have houses boarded up with no plan, just sitting, roof falling in, as you talked about, we have to address it.
Well, you know what?
So,
I gotta give a scenario on that.
no, we can't
Oh,
get,
yes, I'm
but I
going
do
to
want
tonight.
to recognize
Go ahead, I'll wait, come back,
Commissioner Singleton and then the Mayor Pro Tem.
and we're gonna keep debating.
We did discuss a lot of this stuff in some of the committees, public safety and legislative. What's good also in this is that if you read it, it says, the building official, if you have to go longer, you go make your case to the building official, and it's a good case, or, you have a plan or something that is worthwhile giving you the extra time, then that's what you do. But to sit up there and don't do nothing and let it go for years and years, that's how we end up with the problems we have. Cats and raccoons and stuff living up in the buildings. So we got to take a step, and this is to help everybody. This get the people who own the property to come and say, hey, let's this is what I'm planning on doing, and it also help the city staff and commission who get these complaints from people, on a regular basis. I'm looking at a couple of them out there now. Mr. Nesbitt, he probably would like to see those, something happen, but just to sit and don't do nothing and procrastinate, we end up with a ragged decision.
Right.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Hey, Mayor, I do take with great consideration what's being said, but it sounds like more of uptown than downtown, because you have buildings downtown don't have walls, don't have roofs,
Okay,
Don't have doors, don't have windows. You can't board them up, then if you probably hit it with a hammer, it probably rest of it fall down. I would just like to see the building official who is an autonomy right now, who collects 100% of the money that he receives. But then we have to bear the burden. My building official, I'm talking about as far as the guy who comes out and inspects the building or does commercial building. I can say his name if you want me to. His contract he has, give him full autonomy of the money he collects for permits. I would just suggest that we do go ahead and do it, but make sure you're not just targeting.
exactly.
That's the key word that you have to be careful of, because when you're targeting, and there's buildings all across the city that have been boarded up for more than 10, 15 years. You know, and
Okay,
well, let me not say that they're not grandfathered into the board process. I mean, if they've been there for that long, then I think we need to put our first foot forward and get them first before you talk about somebody who just put a board up last week. And then, you know, I hear a lot about slumlords, but we don't never talk about slum tenants who beat the brake shoes off a house and leave a landlord incapacitated. I mean, you're paying the highest taxes in the region and the highest water bill everywhere. And yet we continue to talk about slumlords, and you never say anything about a slum tenant. I think we need to put something on the books till we start slighting these people who beat the brake shoes off a house and leave it in deplorable conditions and leave all their stuff there. You know, you sit that stuff on the curb and the city got to come pick it up. And then you talk about, you know, a fella got to come in there and use the insurance company for malicious destruction for tenants who we try to get them new housing, but are they gonna beat the brakes off that house too? Then they leave water bills and you put them on the tenant. We sneak. No, I'm gonna give you one more minute. I'm scared on the con.
This is on the zoning.
But then we allow a water bill to be ran up on the landlord, and then we lay it on the landlord, $2,000 or $3,000 water bill, and we sneak them on the taxes. And then we talk about slumlords and all this kind of stuff. But I understand what y'all trying to do, but I want it to happen everywhere in the whole 4 square mile, as my beloved deputy city manager said. And let's start with a building that don't got no walls downtown, and let's get some little kids to go down there with little hammers and knock the rest of it down.
But I think that the ordinance does give a caveat to work with the building official and the staff.
okay.
That there needs to be an extension. If there's a case-by-case basis where the city can be alleviated from or exonerated from targeting or some, you know, ill motivation by somebody who may be looking at a particular property. But we, you know, this is the chapter 25 amendment to the ordinance. That's what's in front of us. And we do need to clean up our city. I get calls from residents. Mayor, you know, the house next to me burned down, is still standing. I got this big old 15-unit apartment boarded up, been boarded up for 10, you know. So it's people who don't come down here, who are not at the citizens' comments weekly, but are suffering in silence, waiting on us to do something. And I may have 3, 4 messages on my answer machine saying, Mayor, can you do something? So I hope tonight this council can act on behalf of those, as I said, that suffer in silence, that are paying their taxes, law-abiding, want to see the city cleaned up, or want to see us enforce what's on the books tonight. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. See, all of that, this is more than something about a mere word. And I'm going to explain to the residents and all the listeners as to why. And I'm probably the biggest target sitting here. It's an election year coming up. I have a home that my husband bought probably 10 years ago. Waited for the city of Benton Harbor to come and at least just show us where the pipe at. Where's it at? Because it's on y'all, on the city, to come and show us where we connected at. If it wasn't for this emergency that just happened, we couldn't do anything without running water to get in there and do anything, for real. But we've spent a lot of money waiting on the city of Benton Harbor. And this was before I even became an elected official. And I've been down here talking on behalf of my husband, raising sand just like the other taxpayers of this community. And I just think it's very disheartening to point fingers at the residents when we're not doing our job. When we start standing up being the example for the community, as in any mentoring or teaching of, we have to set examples too. It's easy to bob your head when you probably ain't got the 5 rooms to clean up, or don't want low-income housing. Want to see better? I want to see better too. I've had better. Who don't want? Some may not. There's some people out in the woods, cold, freezing, that will probably end up in the morgue. Who cares? I'm just saying. But it's been 10 years. We just got this pipe fixed and can turn the water on and finally get to work. But guess what? My husband has fallen ill, waiting on the city of Benton Harbor.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Call for the question.
First Ward Commissioner calls for the question.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yeah.
Commissioner Adams,
Don't do it anyway. Why not?
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the next separated item, approval of authorization for city manager to submit Spark grant for Gene Clark Park improvement.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats and Commissioner Clark Griffin. You're recognized for discussion.
I just want to say, I'm all for the grant, but that's $684,000. And from what I'm reading, most of it is restroom, playground, and paint. Now, a lot of our inner city parks don't even have restrooms or playground. So I want to see some grants coming for the inner city. And I keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying it, because $684,000, I could think of quite a few inner city parks where it would have built the whole park. There's nothing been done for years to. One specifically is the one on Edgecombe. The Edgecombe Park is it was a popular park where a lot of people came and did stuff back in the day. I want to see that. I want to see some inner city parks. We having, a lot of stuff going on in these other parks. Gene Clark, it already looks good to me. I ain't really looked at the interior, but from what I see, but I can see in a lot of these inner parks, city parks don't have bathrooms, playgrounds, and nothing else for years. So can we, I want to see some grants coming for that. That's all I got to say.
Well, I was very pleased to know that Gene Clark Park is one of our greatest assets. It is the people's park. To have the opportunity, as our county commissioner stated, $684,000. I'm just going to read some of the things that it would address. Paint to interior walls, stained wood ceiling for the general interior, totally replacement of the drinking fountains, total replacement of we have 4 shower faucets, the bathrooms, which are, I don't know how old, but we make them probably 180 to 200,000 on the high end at the park. And we have visitors and people coming in all around the country. And I believe that the $1 million that we are applying for Hall Park, which we already approved, another $684,000 for Gene Clark Park. I think that's a good start for, and a good mix of inner city as well as our park that's on the lake. We can't do them all at once. Benton Harbor has 19 parks scattered throughout the entire city. And this is just a start. Some of the parks have not had investments for years. So there's a lot of work to be done in the way of investing in our parks. But this is an opportunity. This grant is $65 million statewide. So out of 83 counties. So you have county cities applying for the same money. And when the state looks at the plans, it looks at the parks, it looks at the potential impact, they take all that into consideration, pardon me, when they grant the dollars. So we want to put our best foot forward in presenting the plans and presenting parks that we feel will get the support from the state because the money is coming from the state of Michigan. Chair recognizes our Mayor Pro Tem Seats and then our chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do concur with you that we should invest in all of our parks, and that's a jewel, James Clark Park. To see people come from all over the world, all over the nation, come to James Clark and see what's going on. My only question comes, and I'm getting a little bit older now, so I can't remember like I used to. But was there not an agreement that was made for the upkeep of James Clark Park? I thought we had an agreement for the upkeep of James Clark Park that was supposed to be enacted for a certain amount of years. I don't know how many years that was, but I do concur that we need to invest and put money in it. But I thought we did have an agreement of some sort for the upkeep of James Clark Park.
That's just for the maintenance,
Well,
not for the improvements and upgrades.
well, anytime you are maintaining, thank you, Honorable Mayor. With the maintenance of it, I do understand, but if something is, if my hot water heater blows or something, and I'm paying for the maintenance, that means I have to pay for something different. You can't keep maintaining something that's dilapidated. So has not the maintenance agreement, how much is the maintenance agreement? And with this new stuff that we're inputting in there, will the maintenance agreement, like a warranty, take care of that too? This is a question, but I do concur that we do need to beautify that. And staining that ceiling really does need tremendous staining, and to put some new water fixtures in that. I think we ought to put Dr. King out there. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Be nice.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Mayor. It did come before the Public Safety Park and Recreation Committee discussed in length. The plan, because the state allows you to apply for up to 3 grants. And we already did the one for Hall Park. And the second one is being asked to be submitted for is the G. Clark Park. So there's still one more out that, but there's some timelines on a lot of these. We got to make a timeline for Hall Park, and there's a timeline for Gene Clark Park. Matter of fact, the finance director is waiting anxiously to see if we do pass this, because he's gonna have to leave out to get down to the office to get to finish up the paperwork to get this in, so it'll be in a timely manner. You know, the playground equipment also was, I think they didn't mention that, it was gonna be replacing some playground equipment. Structure, some of the structural integrity of the building was in question and stuff too. We already did the, the analysis of it and stuff, so it's somewhat of a shovel-ready project, and when you're trying to get these grants, you gotta, be on the move and have your ducks in the row. So actually, there's one more, so hopefully that third one will be another park that really needs some help. Just let me see this pass.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Call for the question.
Support. Commissioner Edwards?
I didn't get a chance to make a comment on it, so I'm not going for a call for question. I didn't get a chance to even debate in it. Let's see.
Was it sounds as though, is there a motion in the debate?
Yes.
Motion made by Commissioner Pro
Let
Tem
the
C.
gentle lady have her, we debated.
You withdraw your motion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry. I didn't see your hand.
I know you did, thank you. This was discussed in one of our meat potato night Wednesday nights. And Gene Clark Park is one of my peeves, so I look out for Gene Clark Park like I did for my child. And this $684,000 is a great thing. I've been trying to get the bathrooms done. They've been leaking for 3 years now. So this is a great thing. The only question that I asked, and I asked this question in the meeting, and so far I haven't gotten an answer, and it'll determine how I vote, is what the other improvements are. Because if we leave it open, then certain things happen. And it doesn't have to be. If they can tell me what the other improvements, because this document doesn't say, it talks about restrooms and play structure and that and the water fountain. So when we did the when we did income tax, we asked,
A work order change.
what is other improvement?
Could be a work order change.
Where do you see that, Commissioner?
First page said other improvement. So
Because it's a breakdown of what the 684,000 is gonna go for.
then what do we need the word other improvement for? Can we just take it out?
Because
And then we don't have to worry about nobody doing that.
684,000 is much more money to just really totally improve Gene Clark Park. But this is what the grant is gonna cover.
Will it come through us for the other improvement?
It would have to come through us. There's no other body has the authority to do any improvements at any park without coming
Do we really?
to the city commission.
Attorney, that's what
That's what.
Mayor, just, I mean, maybe I can help clarify. The memo is where it states and other improvements. It's the memorandum, the resolution itself has more of a breakdown as to, it says 684 with no cash match required from the city.
Could you say that one more time with no what?
No cash match required from the city.
Again,
And there was also a breakdown from Avonmarsh that was included that talks about that there's a specific breakdown of all the expenses, structural, exterior, building, general interior, men's and women's restrooms, changing rooms, repair, emergency repairs, and specifically drinking fountains, showers, new plate equipment. So,
Okay, my turn.
I wanna make
Call
sure
for
that
the question.
the gentle lady is relinquishing the floor.
I relinquish the floor, thank you.
Commissioner
Okay.
Adams is recognized.
Thank you, and I've seen this document, this is the second time I've seen it, and I asked all the questions I needed to, and we don't have money, and I thank God that it's not coming from any of our opera funds. Call for the question.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yeah.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes,
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
motion carried.
This brings us to the resolution to approve the monument design honoring Dr. Martin King Jr. in the White P. Mitchell City Center Park.
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Singleton, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Clark Griffin is recognized.
So I see that, 3 stools, I think I counted like 3 stools was removed. The 2 back statues, but it's still too much space. Just asking for, you got a big circular thing, space they it's asking for. It's, I don't see why we need to sit at the table, who's sitting at the table? And we made it clear, from the beginning, we approved the statue, monument. That park, every part of that park is utilized, especially during some of these events. So statue monument, we made it clear on every time that came, we pulled the video. So I don't know why the same thing almost is coming to us. It's nothing much different. So that's just what I want to say. It's still asking too much. That park is utilized, that space out there, all of the surrounding, the big circle, the table, the boy and all that. To me, it's not needed, and it's too much, still asking for too much space, once again. That's all I got to say.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
I do want to thank Commissioner Clark Griffin for our leadership on calling this. I don't know how can we say it any better than what we said already. The wording on this redirects it right back to Pete Mitchell Park. And then the design is still pretty much the same. I mean, except we eliminated one boy pushing the seat to the table. I thought when it came to my committee, we already had said that we do want a statue, the extra head, the little boy, unless it's gonna be Emmett Till or somebody like that, then we have a different conversation. But all the other stuff is still to merge. So if we can downscale this, and I even offered to put it to the park, make a memorial park right there behind the library on that park space that's there, which is more property and nothing else is being proposed to be there. But for some reason, we're at a roadblock right here to say that we just want it right there. And if you just want to put it there, but you got 3 or 4 seats to sit out on a big table, and then you have the seats outside the table, which more than likely that's where we already are. And then the heads of local hero, it says local hero, but this not the one?
No.
Right here, this one I'm talking about.
Get down.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying, well, here. You got 6 seats. We're still at the table, thing right behind him. And then you got the little boy down there pushing something. I just think we should move it, honestly, position it somewhere else, or just put Dr. King up there, put him up high. You know, I mean, I know y'all wanna shake his hand, but if you ain't shook his hand by now, you sure ain't gonna shake it. But put him up higher, remove the table and the blocks, and the whole surrounding area. Because again, as the mayor so eloquently put, that at the table says a whole lot. And if y'all don't wanna deal with what the at the table meant, you might well put a spades table there and put them right there. But if you wanna deal with the real reality of what Dr. King was talking about, I wouldn't want our kids to have to go through that again, because really, when they really look at what's around them, with systemic racism, with impartial, I ain't gonna go into that. But I don't agree with the table, and I don't agree with the local wood pushing. I mean, when we've already asked that area to be lessened. So if we can move it, I agree, but if not, I can't vote. And I have nothing against Dr. King, I don't have nothing against anybody. But I think that's not the place for all that area to be suspended. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. At some point, I just hope and pray that critical race theory will be taught in school, because when I was a kid coming up, I had no idea. George Washington, somebody about an apple in a tree, chopping it down. All that stuff wasn't even important to what I'm doing in life. Teaching me stuff that didn't make sense to me as a kid. Teach me truth. Teach me about who I am, where I'm going, where I'm supposed to be going. Teach me about where I come from. Because some of us are adults now, stuck in this skin that still don't know, but we're learning. And we want others to get to know us as we have had to get to know them. And it's sad, because at the last meeting that just came up, I found it very disrespectful to put him on Main Street and have to watch our children, especially after what just happened, with China needing to be held accountable too, of our children in a police car going down Main Street across the bridge. In whichever case, whatever crime, whatever, and we don't condone crime. We all must pay for the things we do wrong. But not all of them are just or justified, and not only just on one side. It's a thing of beauty, though. I can't deny that. And growing up and watching this man, as a kid, I got at least 9 years of my life to watch this man fight for me. For us as a whole, I watched the beatings and everything all over this country. It was sad. And for it to awaken my emotions like this, some of you probably didn't and don't have emotion in your body anyway. And it's okay. But and my colleague here happened to mention Emmett Till. Is that the one that is going to get ready to bring about the questions about what happened to him? Or we can make another movie after the one that's selling out now. I'm talking about history of what this is about.
I love history, and
Okay, well, let me finish. I got the floor, sir. I don't know what this is with the little boy. Is this a form of labor, pushing of the stool? But I think it's nice. And after talking to my colleague, he has assured me that it only looks this large on this paper, and that it's only going to cover the horseshoe that's already there. I think it would be a nice place to sit and play a game of chess with whoever chooses to challenge me and talk about, yeah, I play and I win. But yeah, I like it. And at some point, growing up on the corner of Lincoln and Jefferson, I watched that old green dude up there. Well, I watched him. He used to be bronze. He turned green now up there on Pipestone. But I relinquish to whomever is
The
next.
chair recognizes our Park and Rec chairperson,
Who?
Commissioner Sid.
Hey, man,
Man,
last committee came through, public safety, park and recreation. Commissioner Ison, who sit on this, committee for mine, let him explain. But, it was downsized because some of the commission had concerns about it being, big and stuff, but it was scaled down. I see it as a spot for, people to come and sit down and have some conversations with us about, some of the things that went on and maybe talk about some ways to heal.
yeah.
I attended a funeral this Saturday from a Ben Harbor City resident, long time civil rights fighter, Will Branscombe, who in his obituary they read, and he told me the story a lot too, that we're down in, I guess it was Selma, Alabama, he went down in March and he stayed all night at Dr. King's house, a couple of nights, a group of folk from Ben Harbor, went down. And so it's a lot of stories that can, be told about even some local people here that was in the fight. Like I said, I see it as a spot for, to have some conversation, learn about some of the things that happened in the past and give us maybe some direction of where we need to go in the future. We have learned, that was one of my big things in school too, that I wonder why I had to learn about George Washington, cherry tree, who discovered, America and all that stuff. But, when I got, I really didn't get into any African American history until I was in college, and it was enlightening, first I was angry, but I had to, control that. But it was good to learn that stuff and learn what some of the people have been through, and definitely to sit down with Will Branscombe, who was a close friend of mine, and a good mentor, and to hear him, actually live in this, during those times, and stayed all night at the man's house. That we got a piece of history right here in Benton Harbor that we can share with our kids, grandkids, right here in downtown Benton Harbor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner Ison.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This came before to the commission on the 3rd of October. And we listened to the commission recommendations about changing things. The wall was too high, moved the bust, and decided to bring it in a little bit. But this statue is not even up yet. And you see it bringing out people emotions. You can feel it. It's bringing people, it's making people think about, and it's not even erected yet. So this is real. See, this is real. So it's about a seat at the table. Young boys pushing the seat to the table, trying to get there. That's where we need to be. We all in this together. St. Joe Ben Harbor's whole community. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And this represents, we lowered the wall. King is standing up there. See, this opening up people's minds right now. That's why you're getting this feedback. That's the wall. We haven't came up with the quote yet. We're not decided on the quote. We'll probably take that to the community.
Quote must reference.
The seat at the table. The brotherhood. It's an educational piece to bring people together, any color of people. It's an educational piece for the young people that don't even know Martin Luther King. what he represented.
So I appreciate Commissioner Isom's leadership. This body, I vote empower him to work with the committee. We do have the Browns present and their great efforts. I think we have to keep in mind that this is a project that was birthed from an idea, but the idea had to be funded. So they aggressively went out to fundraise and get the requisite funds to bring this to a reality. In my closing this meeting, 12 years in politics, out of 10 resolutions, maybe one I get what I want or what I think it should be. So politics is not an arena where you're going to get exactly what you want, but it's not about exactly what I want. It's about what the body can agree on. What the people ask for. That's in the best interest of the whole. So in honor of Dr. King, hopefully the quote will not have language about slave master and slave master children. You know, I don't think we need to go there.
No.
I want my check. But I just finished, close with this. Congressman William L. Dawson, who at one time was the only congressman in the United States, and he helped to get President Truman elected. And when he showed up for the presidential inaugural ball, at that time, Black people could not attend. They had no place at that table. But since he was so influential in the election, they had to break the door down. And he walked into that table. It was only 3 House of Representatives in the 40s to the 50s. 3 Black people in U.S. government. And then in the 60s, all we had was 6. But now there are about 45 in total with, I believe we have 2 senators, which is still yet more at that table that needs to be. But I think that this is a step as it stands. I know we have a statue of Theodore Roosevelt, but I don't know of another one in the city. So I think that to put Dr. King up, even though we may not agree on everything, but I think that it's something that must be done, it should be done. And I think that there's no better time to do it than to close out the final city council meeting of December 2022.
Call for the question.
Support.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yeah.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
With the clarity that it won't be table the brotherhood quote.
No, I won't say that.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
With all that space, clarity, no.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to
Right,
staff comments.
Excuse me, I separated another item on here and you just disregarded it.
What item is that?
Reappointment to the Housing Commission.
I beg your pardon, you are correct. The last resolution, which is reappointment to the Housing Commission, Ralph Crenshaw, is there a motion for the approval? Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson. Support. It is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Is there discussion?
Okay.
Commissioner Adams is recognized.
Mayor Muhammad, thank you. And I know no one person can run any board or committee. But everybody that we appoint to these boards come through here to us. Now, somebody, and it happened to be one of your brothers, posted on social media calling 2 of the 9 of us out. And my name was the only one that was highlighted about being honest about some things that we have asked for in times past to come before us and give some updates, not the committees. Take 3, 4, 5 minutes out of your time quarterly and come and let us know how you guys as committees are doing. Because there's some people living in some low-income houses with issues that are not their own. That are not their
This is on
own.
the reappointment.
Yeah, and I'm getting there because you, sir, have the authority to check on things. We would know ourselves if they came down here and had their meetings and were recorded like us. Agree? If all committees came down and was transparent about what's going on. Mr. Crenshaw was at the committee meeting and he proceeded or tried to give an update. And I'm like, wow, I've only been asking for years, but now that I'm no longer committee chair of Planning and Economic Development or the legislative chair, I hadn't gotten an opportunity to press it forward.
The Housing Commission, they have standing meetings.
I know they all do, but it's called Ben Harbor Housing Commission. When people have problems, they bring them to us. And I don't like being called out and can't do anything because I don't have authority. So if this is the way I'm addressing it, just like the young man was addressing it publicly, talking about the issues that they're having that need to be addressed. We're wondering why, I mean, you don't know any of us when our lives may fall on hard times to where we find ourselves homeless or having to move into something that we really can't afford. I mean, life aid. Some of us, I mean, I'm just saying, do something. And I'm not saying I'm not going, I think that if some of us have gotten too old to be sitting on some of these boards and committees,
Point of order, Commissioner.
then something has to be done.
Point of order.
I'm not out of
You
order.
cannot- Yes, you are. You cannot discriminate.
No, I'm not
age,
discriminating against
how old
him.
somebody
No,
is.
no,
You
no.
cannot do that.
No, it's not Mr. Crunch. I'm just
I'm
talking in
just saying,
general,
in
okay?
general, we
But I'm not
cannot
talking about,
have age.
I
as
just
a
wanted to have this
requirement to be
conversation.
on the board.
Point of order.
That's what I'm saying.
Call for
Point
the
of order.
question.
Chair
I want
recognizes
to just
Commissioner.
have-
So just a quick comment, Commissioner Adams, you're correct. They actually came, they come quarterly to give updates in the committee
No, they
about
don't.
what's
He did it,
happening,
though.
the Housing Commission does. And so Mr. Crenshaw was getting ready to give an update, but reminded him that he has the Dollar Ride, all of them come
Cut him off.
through the legislative, because it wasn't time. We had a lot of stuff to discuss, so he will be coming back next year to actually give that update. Tiffany, you have that date because we talked about them coming quarterly. So just to put that truth out there, they do report, and he did report early in the year. So when will they be coming back? Again, to report, all of them came.
I'll have to look and see when they reported last.
Yeah, please,
But they
and send it to
become,
us.
but they'll
Commissioner
be-
Henderson has the floor.
Yes, but they do come quarterly, and that was the discussion. Because we had a lot on the agenda, and so his report he wanted to give, instead, he didn't recognize that he was coming to be a reappointed. And so he thought that was an opportunity. So I needed to get that truth put out there so people will understand that he will be reporting. The Dollar Ride does report, all of those committees report in the legislative committee 3 times a year. Thank you.
Call for the question.
I just want to say for Commissioner Ralph Crenshaw, this body just recently named the newly developed, formerly Vineyard, Ralph Crenshaw Housing Development. To this day, he is the longest standing city councilman behind him, your husband, 30 years on the city council, and paved the way for everybody that's sitting up here. So had he had not, we're talking about at the table and laying the foundation for us. So as he's in the twilight of his political life and still wants to serve, he submitted a application to be reappointed. So, and I think that the work, the legacy, and the trailblazing effort that he has laid for all of us.
Mayor, and I totally agree, and I'd like to publicly apologize because I wasn't discriminating against Honorable Crenshaw. I just found it very disheartening that he didn't get an opportunity to finish his update if in legislation committee meetings is where he's been doing it. Because I had been looking forward to hearing what he was about to say.
Well, I'm glad Commissioner Henderson cleared up that it was not an update.
Okay, but we're gonna straighten it up, and when I find it, when I get it, I'm gonna post those truths and facts, and then apologize when I get it. Don't worry.
Chair recognizes Commissioner.
Because I'm very present, too much to not know what's factual and what's not.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to say that the charter requires them to report to us. And so I don't know if it's, recently, that the charter don't require them to report to us.
That is not.
They're autonomous, but they have to answer to someone.
No, we just
They don't, the charter does not require that they report to us. The charter gives us the authority through our ordinance to appoint and confirm the board, but the board operates, as you stated, in an autonomous way in and of itself.
That needs to change.
However, we've had through relationships working together where the Housing Commission reports to the Legislative Committee quarterly. Which, at the time, he was showing up just because he was being reappointed.
Well, I know that, but.
But it's no requirement for the Valorize, for library board, for any of those auxiliary boards. There's no requirement for them to report to the city.
So the attack on social media was meant just for
when
me.
we ask for it and they come.
It's a department, and they exist, and they're a creature of the city, but they're not responsibly legally to make quarterly or any reports to the city.
Okay, all right, well, every time we get a new person in that position, I ask that question. Will you come back and tell us what's going on in your department? And they say yes, but from all the information that people come and complain, and we don't know if they're telling the truth or not.
We get it.
But we hear it.
Wow.
And when they come and tell us everything is good, and then 2 weeks later, HUD dings them, that lets me know that something went wrong.
Yeah.
That the communication is not there. So I don't know what we can do about it, but we always say that we're 70% rental, but that most of that is Benton Harbor Housing Committee. So we need to look at who these people are and what they're doing. And if they're doing something to our resident, Mr. Crenshaw, and anybody else that's on that board, it should be responsible to give us information, or to maybe even let us help solve some of the problems. I don't know.
Well,
but it's something we gotta do for our family.
There's been some history where you've had council persons on the board that didn't work out so well. Then with some of the boards we have designated persons from the council who sit on those boards. But I would just encourage the city council to go to the meetings and report to your board, or bring a report back to the commission. But the meetings are open just as ours are open.
Okay, but Honorable Mayor, I said that to say that these are ex-commissioners that sit on these boards, especially this one. And I've sit in on some,
That's good.
and things seem like they were running smoothly. But I hear stuff from residents and I'm like, well, they got it. Cause they sit where we are, they have sit where we are right now, and they have laid, the groundwork. And
The housing.
I mean, but what
Yeah, the
we
housing
need,
commission, like
we
these other
need to
boards.
fix something
Yeah.
if in the residents with their complaints. I mean,
Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I do want to alert us that we cannot go past 10 o'clock
are we done?
unless there's, I got a staff comment. No, it's no more
Okay.
from the public safety.
It's the end of the year.
I'll be quick. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. There is, just ironically, I hate agreeing with her, but ironically, there is a need for history. And to that end, for our plan for 2023, we're going to have some forums and some sessions and some summits in the public. We've got some partnerships with a lot of organizations, churches, as well as community organizations, i.e. Corner Black, CDs, the BH, Ashton Hines, her organization, President Pillars.
CDC.
Thank you. So the first of those efforts will be Monday for Kwanzaa. I'm just sending you guys right now the flyer. I'm doing the first presentation for what we want to do as far as historic lectures to the community. And to give you an example, again, the first one I'm doing Monday is the Talented 10th. What is our legacy? And also for the year of 2023, we're going to do Willie Lynch letters, why Black people mistrust the police from a historical perspective, actually critical race theory. I'd like to talk about actually on chat with the chief, as well as a public forum, and then the true face of social justice. So part of our attempt to combat violence, we all agree from our group, is that there is a lack of understanding of our history. If the young folks, everyone knew who they were, where we come from, so that's part of the whole fabric. That's a Cliff Note version. So this is open to the public at whatever the flyer is, Unique Elegance. Encourage you to come. Again, that's my effort and outreach to help to start teach Black history in the community. I want to definitely connect with Sister Sharon and Brother Emmanuel moving forward with those efforts. So that's what we will be doing. Other than that, you guys gotta get out of here. I have nothing else, so thank you.
Chair recognizes Director Little.
Just want to briefly mention, I spent the weekend reading this document and about 3 others related to it, which is MISTA just released Housing and Community Development Fund allocation plan. City of Benton Harbor specifically within Marion County is one of the target areas for assistance and support. This is going to mean that we're going to have a number of other things coming through real fast in order to try to capitalize on the opportunity to get the money. This money, like all of the other that we're dealing with, is coming through the ARPA, State and Local Fiscal Recovery Act Fund, which means it has to be committed by the end of 24 and spent by 26. And you recognize we got a lot of things coming through a lot of different areas, all tied to that same plan. So I just wanted to mention that. Gonna make copies and share this with you so that you can be aware of exactly what it's about.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our city attorney.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Chair recognizes the city clerk.
No report besides Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our city manager.
And I second that motion. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I just want to say, Saturday, we were able to bless 100 seniors and youth with gift-filled care packages and toys in the 4th Ward. So I just want to thank everybody, the ones, that donated, and my colleague, Commissioner Eisen, that helped drop off the gift. And all 100, I personally put a Christmas card and signed them from their commissioner. So it was a great success. I want to thank my church also and all the other people. I had a lot of friends that donated, and it was very successful. This might become an annual thing that I do. So thank everybody, and thank everybody for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I want to thank the citizens for sitting here and hearing us dialogue on everything, and it's a work in progress. And last year I thought I saw a little white light at the end of the tunnel, but that little white light has come to be a flashlight. And so we are on our way to, we're being recognized by the world, and everybody's looking at us. Everyone is looking at us. So we have to make sure that we take care of our people. That's really important. If we keep making these decisions that have nothing to do with people, we get gentrification. If the biggest problem in the room is jobs, and we have a $33 million project, and but less than 1% get money out of the city, there's a problem right there. So I'm looking forward to 23. I'm looking forward to those seats being full with young people with new ideas and to slap us around, because we are antiquated. So thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'd like to thank the city, I guess Rona, and all those who got together with her to give the city staff Christmas party. Enjoyed it, fantastic, got no complaints. This is the last full commission meeting unless we have emergency or special one. So those have all been working for you since January. Thank you all very much. You have taught me a lot. Love every last one of you all, sincerely. Also would like to say I am so glad that I got through with that United Project monument. So there was everything, inside joke. Okay, in order for us to get this thing passed, I can't say nothing. So we get it passed. But I only said that to say this. I had some residents who can't even vote for me. Those are kinds I really listen to. Can't even vote for them. Hey, Commissioner Elwood, I went to a couple of meetings, and when you got ready to say something, they kind of like went the other way. They didn't want to hear you. Why? Do you go to training or whatever? What is it? Hey, I don't know. Maybe I have an annoying voice. My voice might be a nuisance. So I could get a ticket for that if I come to 3 meetings and get 3 tickets. So I basically what I told them, so I still got 2 minutes. I haven't even spoke 2 minutes in a month. What they got to do with the question that the resident asked me? I don't know. My same question. I thought about it. Then my son called me this morning and asked me the same question. He's listening to news for 40-something years. Couldn't figure it out. I haven't either, except for it's a nuisance. It's annoying. It's old, it's crackled. But I got a question. I've been hearing some words tossed around. I've been getting texts. It's a hypothetical, but you know the answer. When does the word perception, transparency, when does that effectively come to play for a politician? Let me repeat that question. The word transparency, when does it come to effect for a politician? I'll give you my answer. Just like Webster, you get a definition, you got A, B, C, and all that. Here's mine. When I don't want you to see what I'm doing, because I'm telling you I'm giving you transparency, so I'm supposed to believe you, right? Because I'm an elected official, you're supposed to believe me when I tell you I'm giving you transparency? Think about it. We politicians. I don't want to be one, but I signed up for it. I want you all to help me with something. If you want to, you don't have to. My 4 minutes up, I will not break the law. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. And I'll just echo some of the comments in terms of Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Probably won't see until next year. But I just had a couple questions, one to the chief in particular about New Year's Eve. Got calls today about just some of the stuff that happens New Year's Eve, and the resident was concerned because of where they live. Just wants to know if there's any things that'll be done to enforce people shooting New Year's Eve. It was early, but this resident called me right before I came, and she was very concerned because she gets off work at 11. We just had some issues about that, but just something you guys probably need to look at and talk about. One last thing about intent. A lot of times when you work with and serve with a lot of different people, the one thing that people cannot often see is your intent. Sometimes by your actions they can, but a lot of times working in this realm, you have to build community, and people need to trust that you have, as he talked about transparency, trust that you have the best interest in heart. I have a cousin that said there are many ways to skin a fish. The ultimate goal is to get the fish skinned and to eat it. And so we all approach and address things in a different way, but the intent a lot of times is the same, but it's just the way that we go about getting things done. And in a community like ours, we need people to see that our intent is to improve and to better the lives of the people, the businesses, the residents, the children who live in our community. And we can only do that if we are a team, and because there's not an I in team. And so building collaboration is how we get things done, and we collaborate on many different levels for many different reasons on many different things. But we accomplish more when we are moving towards the same goal, and our intent is the same. And we are communicating those messages rather than messages that divide and separate and create confusion. And so in 2023, one of my main goals is to promote, produce, and to encourage collaboration and communities, and to help push community moving forward as a unit. And I would encourage this body to do so, because we influence lots of people, they listen, and we need to be moving toward a common goal to move this community forward. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Athens.
Thank you. And I want to thank the listeners in YouTube world and all the residents and business stakeholders for coming out and watching your local government in action. I hate politics. And I didn't realize how much until I got on this side. But it seems like there's something that you can get done on this side when you're working for everybody as a whole. I've been down here since 2002. And I became a Brownfield Authority Board member. And that was exciting to make a large decision and watch development and stuff start moving, tumbleweeds, not on the streets anymore. I'm just reminded of me when the husband was healthier, and so was I, a little younger, going to different places, even out of the country, traveling and just enjoying the beauty of other places. My heart got to thinking of how I want my community to be like this. The streets are concrete. Some streets were brick. People, I mean, if we ever never get back to the village or a village, I hope that us in our respective places within the community would just come to respect one another. But those that show up here usually do. We got a whole lot of work to do on some hearts and minds of our community. I recently went down here to the new development that's going on, and I mean, it is a thing of beauty. And I'm just excited to see what's about to happen up in the community, in the neighborhoods that we've been complaining about for forever. Because we have $33 billion that we're going to be sharing with other communities in Michigan. What you just heard Mr. Little share, that's just a tip of the iceberg of what's coming. And we need to have ourselves positioned to start getting the training, proper training in place. Those that have the capability of putting the training in place, working closer with our schools. We won the House, the Senate, the governorship. This has been an exciting year. For me personally, it hasn't been the greatest, but I'm here. And I'm still honored to be able to serve and service my community. And all I have to give is the best of who I am, growth, when it comes to my community. Gosh, I don't celebrate holidays the way the world does. I'll just leave it that way. And I don't Debbie Downer, whoever chooses to. Be happy. Be happy every day, in all seasons, in all things. I give thanks. And with that, everybody stay safe and look forward to a wonderful new year.
Thank you, Chair, Personnel and Finance Commissioner. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank Commissioner Yarborough for the update and the good information she has given us all year long. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's good news, the water quality. Man, that's good news to hear, This bottled water gonna end soon. So just thank, the people at the water plant putting all this together, good grades from the water. So now we can go inside your house and change pipes or whatever we gotta do. There's one of these flyers, got all the information on it right here. Get you one. I want to thank this commission. We've been working with y'all year long. Thank you for, just being a good team, working together through the ups, through the downs, through the cutting it short, disagree, agree. Thank you so much. thank you. You know, the United Civic Monument Project Committee that I'm the co-chair of. You know, it's been a long time in the works. You know, I remember starting this, we was on Zoom. You know, and I took a beat when I started. They said, well, hey, what this all about? I said, okay. Strike one. So I said, Lord, wait a minute now. I thought it was gonna be easy. He said, one more time, go take it to him again. I said, Lord, this is where it's working? I said, he said, go back one more time. And the commission voted to support the project. You know, and that was something to me. You know, if you just trust. Sometimes you gotta go through something, But this committee, we've been together almost 3-4 years in the making. So ups and the downs, events, parades, pushing this United Civic Monument Project. And I told them today, I said, watch. I'm gonna tell you this from MLK, part of the speech from Spelman College in 1960. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And that's what this committee did. We kept on moving forward through the ups and the downs. And here we are today. God bless you. God bless Ben Harbor. Expect great things. Merry Christmas.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Been too long. In the spirit of giving the radio station Power 105.3 and the Charles Kelly Urban Foundation teamed up with the Abundant Life Church and purchased over 100 some coats and took to the streets, especially one day when it was real cold, and just start, passing them out, seeing people that had sweaters on and hoodies on, and they would say, hey, need a coat, and hats, gloves, just giving it out, no questions asked or nothing, and they were real happy, and some of them just throw them on right then, But I just thank this commission, the leadership of the mayor and this commission body. We've been through a whole lot, 22. It's been a lot of challenges that came before us. We stood in there strong. Got hit by a few pitches, and but we got back in. Just did what we needed to do. There's still a lot of work to do. But, there's a quote that says, doubts kill more dreams than failure ever will. So, I think keeping it moving, doing something, not doing nothing is not acceptable. But, there's been a lot of things said about, his body, his commission, his staff, And another quote that says, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on the shoes. Be careful with what you believe to be true. So, get the facts, Get the facts. We're looking forward for next year, taking 2023. There's a lot of things that I've been researching to bring forth in the committees into this body, that deals with public safety. We think about, a lot of the issues that's going on with our kids. I'm looking at some mentoring programs, some conflict resolution programs, to bring about and make sure that it's community based. We can police ourselves and cut down on a whole lot of things, before it get out of hand. It's just disheartening to hear, kids going at it, and sometimes even the adults, they going at it and not stopping the kids, And next thing you know, it boils up to a point where, you know, somebody pulling a pistol, you know, taking somebody out. Now you got, you know, two families destroyed, you know. So I think if we start looking at ways to get it on the front end, you know, instead of waiting till things happen, we'll make a whole lot of headway and do a lot better. Teach our, you know, kids how to get along, you know. But we also have to be an example, you know, as adults, you know, we got to get along because they're going to emulate what they see. And so those are some of the things I'm looking for 2023, along with some other things, but we'll be bringing them forth through the committees and letting them out and just making it happen. You know? I don't see myself as a politician. I see myself as a servant.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just like to thank all the residents for coming out. We are at the eve closing 2022, which has been a tumultuous year. We started 2021 in the heat of a water crisis, engulfed by the national media. We had lines wrapped around the corner, people getting water. A lot being said. Personally, survived 7 recall attempts. And when I spoke with the governor, he said, man, I've survived over 50. So, take it on the chin and so keep it going forward. The city council, just like to thank you all for allowing for people to rise above our personal differences and egos. Which they say ego means edging God out and put yourself first. So hopefully 2023, we'll be able to find ways where we can work together. As Director Little so stated, the resources that Ben Harbor has been calling and wanting for years we're finally at the door. And it matters how we act. It matters how we work with one another. I think somebody said position. How we position ourselves is very important because nobody wants to invest or pour money into a bucket where there's a hole in it. But we've proven that we can handle 60 million. 99.4% of all lead lines complete, which, as you heard the water experts say, is phenomenal. $1 million to renovate Hull Park, $680,000 for Gene Clark Park. We still have over $5 million in ARPA funds, with much more to come. Although it's a lot of work to do, but I would just ask as we leave tonight to take some time to reflect on where we were, right, and where we are, and how we can work together to get where we're trying to go. I thank the city manager, who's been a steady hand of management for this city. He may not do what each individual wants him to do, but again, it's not about an individual, it's about the body. And that's a tough job. They say the basketball coach, the mayor's seat, and the city manager. You know why? Because everybody know your job better. So with that being said, Thank you all. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'd like to
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards? Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem C? Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Record.
Let that go south.